है ना? That's all.
On your mic so they can hear us. All right, I think we're ready.
Hey, it's a little after 6 o'clock. We're going to start this meeting. Call this meeting to order. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I didn't say that.
Okay, can we get a roll call?
Councilman Rao,
Present.
Councilman Laverie,
Present.
Mayor Rao,
Here.
Councilman Hunter,
Present.
Simons.
Here.
Okay. We in compliance with the open meeting laws?
We are in compliance.
Question,
Yes, sir.
legal question in regards to the open meeting law. The agendas were posted last Friday, but from what I understand, none of the council got their agendas until Tuesday. Is that a violation?
No, since it was posted for the public's view within the time frame, we're all right.
Okay.
But I guess as a matter of course, we should try to get it to the council members as soon as possible as well.
I do apologize, you guys, that is my fault. I had prepared the email, and when Linda told me that you had called, I went back and looked, and I never sent the email. So, but I do apologize. I will make sure that does not happen again.
Okay. Public comment related to the items on the agenda below. In consideration of others who may also wish to provide public comment, please avoid repetition and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment?
Just give it a couple of seconds, see if the phone rings. If anybody on Zoom, you want to unmute yourself, you're more than welcome to for public comment. All right. I think you're good, Steve.
Okay, with no public comment, we'll move on. For possible action, approve or deny payments of the bills received by the council.
Move for approval.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, for possible action, approve or deny minutes of the 1/7/21 meeting.
I didn't see anything out of place in them, so I've moved that they're approved.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our 1/7 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. For possible action, approve or deny Bill Brown's request for a variance to move the building setback from 10 feet to 5 feet on the west side of 251 Spring Heights.
I didn't make it to the planning commission meeting last night, but they approved this.
Just a
In
second.
your packet,
You want to
there's several.
turn your mic on? Push it in hard. There you go.
I didn't make it to the planning commission meeting because of a mistake on the agenda. The agenda said it was gonna be Thursday night. So I planned on coming Thursday, and so I went out of town Wednesday. Anyway, they approved this on the
at the planning commission last night, and there was quite a few remarks in regards to it that give their approval. There was only one that questioned it, and he didn't give disapproval, just one that said that they wanted it to be a permanent building, not something they moved in and out. And the one that questioned it also was not the owner of the property, he was a rentee.
I think I got a question. Is that west side, is that the back side of that property against the hill?
This is Ken, it's the downhill side,
It's the downhill side?
correct?
It's on the west side, right between the lot and the mountain, that hill.
On the back end from the street?
Yeah, back
Straight
end from the
On the
street.
back side from the street.
What I understood from the documents and supporting materials last night, it's on the opposite side of the street.
Okay. All right, well, that's what I thought by reading the thing is what it was, so. Okay. It's the only question I had.
No, thank you.
Ken, do we know what kind of building they're looking at putting there? Has that been,
It's gonna be a permanent structure. He's supposed to give me plans and everything for a building permit, as if this is approved. We should have plans on it in the next month.
well, I make a motion that we approve this variance to change that setback from 10 feet to 5 feet.
I'll go ahead and second the motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve Bill Brown's request for a variance to move the building setback from 10 feet to 5 feet on the west side of 251 Spring Heights. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay. For possible action, approve or deny appointing Councilman Rao, excuse me, I skipped one. For possible action, approve or deny repair of the old fire hall roof.
So I do have a question for Franklin, because I did put this on just for approval of the repair, and we actually have bids. Are they able to pick a bid that they want today?
So I guess the question is, how much is it going to cost us?
Well, it's two separate projects, so they bid on each project. So if you combine the projects, it will be 24.
Over 10,000.
Separate, they'll be over 10.
11 and one was 13, right?
I was told at one point, anything over 10,000, we just needed bids. Over 25, I had to get quotes. Over 10, anything over 25 had to go to bid.
Yeah, let me look up the statute just so we're in compliance.
Why he does that, there is a change on the Pearsons, and that's the change, if you guys would just pass that.
While he's looking that up, do you guys have any questions about the bids there?
Yeah, Grant, I do.
They do, yep.
Two separate bids there, right? Does it look like, didn't you say last meeting that one of them was metal roofing, but the other one wasn't? Or was that something we just
No.
talked about?
There's two different kinds of metal roofing that they're wanting to use.
Okay, that's where I was confused.
Probably different suppliers.
And
Sounds better.
they're also different styles of roofing. The one for BRLS is a standing seam with no exposed metal fasteners, and the other one appears to be an exposed fastener, wider sheets. And the standing seam
That's
tends
correct.
to be a higher quality.
That is correct. The other bid is just kind of the traditional metal roofs that you see around here on most of the homes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, this is Ken. I do have a question on that. What are they gonna do about the asbestos?
The asbestos in what?
in that roofing material that's there now.
And on which building has the asbestos in the roofing material?
It's on the old building that it has asbestos in that existing material up there.
I'm not aware of that. It looks like big asphalt rolls to me. If there's asbestos in it, that's something I'm not aware of.
Well, that was what held up the original bids, and they included the encapsulation of the asbestos material that's up there on top of the roof.
Well, these bids definitely don't account for that. I guess we could have it looked at. There's not a lot of roofing material left on there. It's weather and time has taken a lot of it off.
Well, I haven't been up on that roof in about 2.5 or 3 years to look at it since then. But at one time, it had to be encapsulated according to the state.
So back to the requirements for the
I don't
bidding
have-
procedure. According to NRS 332.063, we're only required to solicit responses from 2 or more persons if the amount is over 50,000 but less than 100,000. When it gets to over 100,000 is when we have to go through the bidding process. So if it's only amounting to 24,000 for all the work, you can actually just decide who you want to hire. I mean, if we only had one, we only had to solicit one person. But if we have multiple, do we have multiple bids right now, I guess?
We have
There's
two.
2.
So we're not required to go through the legal bidding process, but if you guys wanted to look at estimates that have been given and decide who to go forward with, I think that would be appropriate.
Hey, Grant, this is Joe. With Ken saying that, I would say maybe table this until you get some more inquiry about that asbestos, because you might be looking at a lot of money.
Yeah, I would agree, but that's the council's decision to table.
My suggestion would be, let's approve it conditionally, and Grant and I can get together tomorrow or at his convenience and go over I have a file on that, an old file.
I have a
the
problem
last-
with approving this conditionally because it sounds like we're gonna have to, the price is going to be more. And so, I mean,
Not if it's encapsulated.
I don't, oh, if you're talking about putting a maximum on it?
Right, if it's encapsulated already, then
I thought they were talking about asbestos removal, right?
not if it's encapsulated, they won't have it. It's sealed in there.
Well, yeah, I just, something like this, I would not want to do a conditional, we either, I don't know, it's up to this committee or council, obviously, but if we have unknowns out there, then we should take care of the unknowns first. Because if that puts us over the $50,000 mark, then there's other statutory requirements we have to follow.
I agree with Councilman LaVerry on that as well, that we don't want to get into something that, might be over that threshold, like Franklin said. I've talked to Amanda about it a couple days ago too. You talked to, was it Stacy, about the budget, if there was,
In Daniel MacArthur, yeah.
yeah, can you elaborate on the budget if we
So
did
we
have?
have it in the general fund. I asked her for the highest amount of the 2 bids, just to double check. We do have it in the budget, and then there's also a little bit of money in also the fire department budget if, we want to ask them if they want to help a little bit, or, obviously it's just up to you guys. The general fund can support it. Because of all of the CFR grants and stuff like that, we've been saving a little money here and there.
Was questionable on the budget. Questionable then whether we have the budget. to do
Well-
it.
No, we can support it through the general fund, because like I said, with the CFR grant, like some of the sheriff's department budget that we normally take out of there was paid for and stuff like that, so we're okay. Or we can, like I said, the fire department has a little bit of money in there that you can ask them if they want to help support some of it. But that's just up to you guys.
I think, like Ken said, we should table this until he can look at it again and get with Grant. So you can table that without a motion, have it on the next agenda.
We don't have to have a motion to table it, Franklin?
No, as long as there's no motion on the table, then it dies for lack of motion, we'll just table it.
And Joe just requested that it be
Yeah,
tabled.
and that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, what do you guys think? You want to table this till next meeting?
Table it.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll
Yeah.
agree with Mr. Laveri, and we'll table this, and Ken and Grant can check that out, see if we have any more problems that we weren't thinking about. Okay. Table item 4. Item 5, possible action. It says approve or deny appointing Councilman Rao to serve on the Lincoln County Regional Transportation Committee. And I don't know that the council needs to do that. I think that's just an appointment by myself.
That's true.
That was done in the past.
Yeah, I thought he was already on the LC transfer.
He does, but it has to be done each year.
Oh, okay.
This is the beginning of the year, and I got a request from them to do this. So,
Does he still want to be on it?
I was gonna talk to you before the meeting and I forgot about it. See if you still wanted to serve on that.
Sure, I'll serve on it.
All right, then we'll leave Councilman Rao on that Lincoln County Regional Transportation Commission. And we'll need to, I believe, have a thing showing that he was appointed in this meeting, like in a copy of the minutes.
Yep, I just usually send her the copy of the minutes when you guys approve them
Okay.
for next meeting.
All right. All right, update concerning ongoing grants. CDBG depot grant, city clerk, and might as well do the report at the same time, so.
Okay, so, kind of quiet in the grants department, kind of not, just a lot of paperwork happening. She has completed and submitted all the paperwork for the CFR grant, so that was closed out. We did spend the entire $196,500. Like I said, if you guys want that detailed report, she has that available to know exactly what we spent it on. That is available. And then she's just been working on the third phase, making sure all of that's done. She had to grant access to the CDBG committee so they can start looking at it and the progress that she's making. And then she has been working with Jeff Fontaine, Colin, I cannot think of his last name right now, and a couple other people just on different avenues and areas that she might be able to look for more support for revenue for the interior of the building, you know, because that $2 million is kind of on hold. So anyway, she continues to talk to them and do research with them. Carmen has been approved by the CDBG for the draft HSR, and so she's preparing the final draft HSR, which will be on the next council for you guys to approve. After that, she'll start working on bid documents and stuff like that, putting that together so we can go out to bid to find a contractor. And then, so that's pretty much all she's been doing in the grants. But since that's the main portion of her job, I'll just finish the rest of her report, which we've just been working on splitting the responsibilities, making sure everything's gonna go while I'm gone on maternity leave. So she's been learning payroll, a couple other little things, getting access to some things that she's gonna need while I'm gone. So that's pretty much it on Linda. And then in the utility clerk, Charlie's just been kind of working on a couple of different things. We're trying to upgrade our telephone system to where we're fighting with it right now. Charlie will change the message to where it has all of my information, Grant's information, and then 2 days later, it's back saying Kelly and so she's trying to fix that, but we're trying to upgrade that telephone system so that way they can also patch through to the shop too. If they call and they want to transfer to the shop, they can just transfer to the shop. So she's been working on that. I don't know if you guys remember me telling you this a while back, but we changed business licenses from going all of them December or January to December to their actual origination date. And so she's finished that transformation and gotten that cleaned up. She's been trying to work with communication with the shop and communication with our customers. She's really been trying to help with that customer relation. And she's also been working really hard to make sure that everybody that signed a contract is meeting their contract date and their amount. So, and then Rick, he's just been doing his regular stuff. We had some quarterly inspections with the fire, the sprinkler system, and the elevators, and a couple of things there. And then me, I've just been working on getting all the quarterly reporting done. W-2s are done. 1099s will go out Monday. Payroll end of year is done. I've been working with the cell on some GL entries and issues that we're having. I'm just trying to get everything buttoned up and ready for me to leave for my maternity leave, which I've started working from home, but I will officially go on maternity leave on the 3rd of February.
Visit the doctor yesterday. When are we gonna get the baby?
Well, either Friday or Monday.
Friday or Monday?
We will see.
Girl or boy?
A little girl,
Hey,
because that's what I do. I just make girls.
nothing wrong with little girls.
I agree. That is true. It's Eric. It's Ellen Eric. What else? You guys have any questions for me? Oh, I did also want to let you guys know that I don't have any more update on the marijuana revenue. I did find out from Kelly that it's Tiffany Day that I was supposed to get a hold of, and she works for the, Cannabis Control Center. And so I emailed her, and I also left her a message letting her know that we haven't received any revenue because the city received an email stating like the revenue that each county has gotten. And I think that's like, it's the state tax and the county's portion of that. But we weren't mentioned anywhere on it, like as a city in our own revenue. So anyways, I reached out to her. She's the one that sends that report out, and hopefully I'll hear back from her and find out, because we still have not received revenue.
Amanda, this is Ken. I do have some information on that in my report that I'll bring everybody up to date.
Oh, Ken's got some. But yes, unless you guys have any questions, that's all I have.
Yeah, Amanda, is there a way we can get Carmen from the Heritage Architecture firm next meeting perhaps? Maybe that's asking too much because you're gonna be gone, but just to maybe Zoom her in or even in person when we start getting back to that, just give some updates on, I know we were set back a little bit with COVID, and I know a lot of it's the paperwork and the, that HSR report and whatnot, but just to hear from her a little bit about the steps they're taking, and so that way as council, we kind of have a better idea of, I mean, you've been great doing your report and update as well, but just hearing from her as well might be something we'd look to.
Absolutely, and I think next council will be good, especially if we have that HSR there, so she can kind of go through it with you guys on, it'll probably be on Zoom, but I'll definitely have Linda reach out and make that invitation, so we can get that to happen.
Is that your report on there too, wasn't it?
I'm sorry?
Did that your report also?
Yep.
Was that, I didn't understand Ken on there, was that the marijuana
Yeah,
report?
he's gonna give that on his report,
Yeah.
some of that.
I just wondered what efforts were made to get that report through the clerk's office.
I'm sorry. One more time?
Who did you contact to try to get a report from on this?
Well, I called
marijuana?
Kelly Gramman, and she works for the Department of Taxation, and she's kind of just my go-to person when I have questions. And so she told me to reach out to Tiffany Day, and then 2 days later, we got a report from Tiffany Day, and she works for the Cannabis Control Center. And so I reached out with a phone call and an email to her. I just haven't heard anything back. I just did that though yesterday, so I haven't heard anything back from her. And I'm hoping, because I'm guessing that's where all the information comes, because we received an email from her stating what, like, it's the state tax and the county's portions of that, but it had a report of what every county in Nevada received for their portion of the state tax. But we weren't included in it, and neither was any of the revenue that we received. The county was for their portion of what the state tax gives, but that's it.
Okay. All right, let's go on, move on. Public Works Directors, Public Works Manager report. Mr. Perkins?
Okay, so in the last couple of weeks in our water department, we've replaced several of our water meter registers that have been failing. The batteries are dying in those radio read meters, and they just have to replace the register for that. Chris has filled out and turned in our annual pumpage reports on our water side to try and keep us up to date with beneficial use. He also filled out and turned in our DMR on the sewer side, which is our discharge monitoring report. The state makes us meet certain standards. We take tests, and he has to report all of that at the end of the year. And he's got that in. Also, with our sewer plant, we've had some issues with the flow meter, which is one of the things they require, so we know how much actual sanitary sewer that we're treating through our wastewater plant. And we've got somebody should be getting back in contact with us next week to set up a time to come troubleshoot it and repair it. And it's also time for our annual calibration. So he'll kind of kill two birds with one stone while he's there. Him and Chris have been working on that, and they have it down to a few things that it could be. So he's going to bring all of those parts and just install the ones that we need and charge us for those appropriately. On our garbage side, as was asked in the last meeting, we fixed the dumpster out at the hospital. We've started repairing some of the others that we have so we can have a few good ones on hand. Finished cleaning up all the leaves in Dixon and Rose Park and started working on Super Park as well. We had an opening and a closing at the VFW cemetery last weekend, I believe. And maybe it was the weekend before, 2 weekends ago. And we had both of our power brooms that we put on the front end loaders, the big power sweepers, have been having issues, and we had to spend quite a bit, but we got both of those repaired and ready to go to take care of the snow that we've got coming this weekend. So that's my report. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Hey, Grant, this is Joe.
I got a question for you, Grant.
Okay.
Joe's talking to me. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, up the canyon, I've been meaning to mention this to you, and if you don't think it's a problem, I'm open to that. But up the canyon at that, I guess it'd be the First Residence, maybe the Mahoney's. There's that dumpster that sits right there on the right in the brush. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but
yeah,
that might be something you want to look at. I ride up there on my dirt bike and stuff occasionally. That thing's, I could see that being a potential problem. It's really hidden in there, and I just see someone eventually hitting that thing, and maybe it's an issue, maybe it's not. But if you look at it and think it's fine by me, but it might be something you want to look at. I've been meaning to mention it to you for a while, and I keep forgetting.
I will definitely go look at that.
Yeah, I think it's a little hazardous.
Okay. We'll see if we can find a better place for it.
Yeah, maybe you think it's fine too. I'm good with that. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Might be something.
Okay, thank you.
Might be something you can just take up there with the backhoe and cut some of the weeds out of the way, and so it's more visible.
That could be it too. It really don't hang in the road per se, but it's just that brush. I could just see someone going a little to the right and tagging it.
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying now. It's hidden by the brush, and so if there was two cars passing,
yeah,
one tried to scoot over and hit the brush, might hit the dumpster as well.
Yeah, and I think he's got it set where he's got it because it's about the only spot he can probably maybe back up and latch onto the thing.
Okay. Well, we'll look at see if we can clean brush out of the way, what we can do to make it safer.
Okay, Tommy?
Yes, I got a question, Grant. Can you tell me where Jerry's Porta-Johns dump their tanks?
Yes, he dumps them. There's a manhole over there in the old rodeo grounds area. and he dumps there.
Okay, very good. I seen someone dumping there the other day and I didn't know who it was, but I thought it might be Jerry's, so thank you.
He's got a brand new truck for his Porta Johns.
Yeah.
Not the big truck, but the pickup. He's got a brand new one, it looks like.
Right, okay, thank you.
Any
Yep.
other questions for Grant? Okay, thanks, Grant.
You bet.
Discussion of legal issues. Mr. Katsky.
Yeah, there's two things I want to talk about. The first is I was contacted by an attorney for a marijuana dispensary a number of weeks ago. And I'm only telling you this because it's going to be on the February 4th agenda, and I just don't want you guys to be caught unawares regarding it. They've actually requested, this attorney for marijuana dispensary has requested, and he and I have talked about placing a moratorium for dispensaries here in the city. And there's multiple reasons why the city probably would want that and why the dispensary company would want it as well. So I won't go into the details of it right now. We can get into the more nitty-gritty of it on February 4th, but I thought I'd just give you a heads up if you guys wanted to do some research, or if you wanted to come talk to me about, I guess, the pros and cons of doing something like that, and why we would want to do it, and possibly why they would want to do it as well. And I'm happy to sit down with whoever wants to talk about that and go over that with you. The second thing, and I won't get into much detail about this either, it'll be on the February 4th agenda. Myself, Amanda Grant, and Mayor Rao met with Mr. Mangum earlier today, discussing his continued employment, or I guess the end of his employment here pretty soon. There's some other matters that we have to discuss. Again, it's some research that we'll have to do and something that we'll have to look into, but just so the council isn't caught off guard as well on February 4th, we are going to look into Mr. Mangum's, I guess, employment for a couple of years when he wasn't being provided PERS at the time. And I don't know why that happened or how that happened, but that was brought up during our discussions today. We'll take a look into that, and there will be just some discussion about paying out a couple of years due to that, and why he was employed without actually being an employee of the city and being on PERS. And so that'll be a discussion that we'll have again on February 4th. I don't want to get into detail regarding it today, just because it wasn't agendized and it's nothing we should get into right now. But that will be on the February 4th agenda. Again, I invite any of you to come and talk to me about it, why we would do something like that. And we'll discuss how we are going to term that as well, because there needs to be a little bit of sensitivity because of how the separation is going down, about how we discuss that and how we couch, I guess, what would be a buyout in any other situation. But we'll discuss that more on February 4th. So just be aware that that is going to be on those two things will be on the February 4th agenda. So if you want to do some research regarding the buyout and also dispensaries, that will be discussed on February 4th.
Hey, any questions for our attorney? Okay. We'll move on. Building inspector's report. Mr. Dixon.
Okay, everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, the first thing we'll talk about is what Amanda was discussing with the marijuana payment. Actually, I have some good news on that. It's my understanding that the marijuana payment comes directly from the people that are growing it. And that payment is going to be in excess of $25,000 for last year. Have an email that I just received from Brenda Northrup at Clover Creek, and she is checking in with the state exactly how that falls as far as the payment goes. But Franklin, if I'm wrong, correct me, but my understanding is that that comes directly from the grower. It does not have to go through the state.
Yeah, so Amanda wasn't saying that it comes through the state, but the state is the one, at the end of the day, who will assess how much tax is owed to the city. And once we get that number is when we expect to see the money from the manufacturer, the producer.
And that's the way I understand it as well. So that's what they're trying to determine right now, is exactly how much. I'd be happy to help them out with it if they want. And they are currently, Clover Creek is employing 16 full-time positions. They're gonna be hiring some more people in the spring and summer because they anticipate the additional 3 bays that they're working on now will be completed by May. So that's when they'll have some more people come on. Anybody got any questions on any of that?
Only question I had, have you heard anything more about the Brackenberry deal over there?
I have not heard a peep out of any of those people, and I've been hesitant to dig into it because they were supposedly trying to keep it a little quiet, but I guess that's not the case. I've been asked several times about it from people within the community, so I don't think it's a big secret anymore.
Yeah.
The next thing I have on my schedule to report on is the meeting that the mayor and I had with the Caliente development people, which we just talked about. Hopefully, we'll have some more. There's supposed to be another meeting with John Goss, probably. Now this is on the one down Viro's project. He's supposed to be in town this coming weekend, and we'll have another meeting on what's going to transpire down there. Hopefully there will be something good come from that. Another thing I've got to report on is that we had some complaints about the spare tires and old tires out at the tire shop. I had a discussion with those people, and they made a little progress on it, cleaning up the old tires, and they're continuing to work on it. So maybe they'll get that cleaned up sometime in the next foreseeable future. The other thing I had was the RV park behind 190 Culverwell Street. That was actually on Culverwell's property, and it has been moved. So we'll hear some more on that before it's over with, I'm sure. The other one is the Midway Motel. They're making good strides on it. They anticipate that they will be putting tenants into that probably mid-March. I will still be surprised if it happens then. I'd say maybe April, but we'll see. I wish them the best of luck on it. That'll be room tax money for the city. And that's about all I have unless somebody's got any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Dixon? Okay, thanks, Ken. Discussion of issues related to public safety. We don't have the fire chief or a representative from the sheriff's office online, do we? Okay. Discussion of council members' responsibilities. Parks Beautification Committee, Mr. Fitzsimons.
Okay, well, Grant usually does the parks part, I guess, especially in the winter. Nothing new to report, really. There's not a whole lot going on with the beautification. We finally picked up all of our holiday signs. If it was up to me, they were left a little too long, but we finally got them off of the main drag there. We were supposed to have a meeting on our calendar 2 nights ago on the 19th, but we just, like I said, not a whole lot going on, nothing to really meet about, so we did not have that meeting. Thanks to Grant's crew for taking down some of the ornaments off the trees, and me and Grant actually got to the bottom of that today and returned some ornaments to some folks. Grant's helpers and stuff had removed them, and they had them in the shop, so we got them back, so it was a miracle. We got everything back. So other than that, that's all I got. Nothing else.
Okay, any questions for Sean? Okay, community development and planning, Councilman Rao.
Yeah, I sort of explained what went on at the planning commission meeting already, so that's been taken care of. One thing I forgot to mention when Grant gave his report, I'd like to thank him for taking quick care of those garbage dumpster lids out in the hospital area. Thanks, Grant.
You bet.
And that's all that I have.
Okay, any questions
Hey,
for,
Councilman Rao, can I bug you for a minute?
go ahead.
So Tommy, you just got put back on the RTC board. Can you keep me in the loop on that? And I go with you to some of those meetings and maybe we can see if we can get in on those grants when I understand a little more what's going on?
Sure. I'll let you know when I get an agenda and we'll work it in.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Any questions for Tommy? Okay, tourism, Boxcar Museum, Mr. Laveri. Okay. We must have lost Joe. All right. Well, if he comes back on, we'll get him in there. Public Utilities, Councilman Hunter.
Nothing major to report. I think we've dealt with all the problems and everything's running smooth. Nothing really to report.
Okay.
We had any issues with any utility bills as of late? I know January sometimes is 5 week, or it's 5 weeks, so I mean, is that coming down the pipe, or I don't know. Councilman Hunter didn't have anything, but maybe Amanda or the girls do.
There was a couple issues that they've had, but they're getting them dealt with in the office, and we had some meters we found that have gone bad, and they've had to fix those, but the people are on top of it.
But yes, it is a 5-week billing period, the one that's coming up. So yeah, we'll probably hear the complaints coming in, and but so far we've had a ton of people making sure that they meet their contracts and stuff like that. So we really haven't had too many complaints that I've heard of. Hopefully you guys haven't heard any either, but I think we had a pretty good month this month.
So I've been meeting with a customer that's upset with their bill, but one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is December was the coldest month we've had so far this winter, which has more of an effect than the 5-week billing cycle. And I'm hoping I'm taking care of their concerns, but I'm not convinced that they're happy with my answer. But their meter still falls in line. It's not like there was a misread or anything like that.
Okay. Any questions for Councilman Hunter? Okay. And I don't have much to report. Our clerk gave most of all that, everything that's updates for the billing over here and what's going on, so we'll move on. We have a possible action schedule date for review agenda and agenda topics for our next meeting.
So our next meeting is February 4th. We actually do have quite a bit on there. We have we got a request for a council member to be appointed to the Debt Management Commission. My understanding is this commission only meets twice a year, August and December, I want to say. And anyways, it's just what it is. It's a debt management commission with the county. And so they've asked if we would appoint somebody to sit on that board. So that will be on the next agenda.
Now, would that have to be a councilman?
Or you, Mayor, if you'd like, but yes.
Okay, so it'd be somebody
One
here.
of you 5, yep.
Okay.
And then we have the moratorium for the dispensary. We have a conditional use permit for Josh Jones, wanting to build a shop over, I think it's Kiva, well, where Victor lives. Wanting to put a small shop over there, so, that will be on there. The HSR will be on there. We have 2 business licenses that will be on there. And I think so far that's all I have as of right now, but if anything else comes up, it will get on there.
Anybody on the council was interested in being on that, was it
It's a, debt management
debt
commission.
management committee? Let me know and we'll discuss that at our next meeting then. Okay, let's move on. Public comment. Do we have any public comment related to matters concerning the city? In consideration of others who may also want to provide public comment, please avoid repetition and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment?
I do have somebody, J&E. It's J&E Laptop, so I don't know necessarily who that is. But they are wondering how the survey bids for the easements with the city limits is going.
So this is probably a question for Grant. Remember, we discussed those easements through that sewer easement through the property over there by the, I think it's close to the cemetery.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm aware of what you're asking about. I'm trying to put together a whole list of places that we might need easements done, and there's some new ones that have been brought to my attention. So I'm trying to put together a whole list before we go and get a surveyor started on it.
Okay.
So that's one of those things that I'm trying to get my ducks in a row before we get going on it, but it is being worked on.
Okay.
Any other public comment? We'll give it a minute to see if the phone rings too.
Any other public comment?
Mary's muting.
Hey, I'm trying to talk.
Hi, Mary,
Hello?
we can hear you.
Go ahead, Mary. We lost you, Mary.
It says my mic is unmuted.
You're on now.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I am sitting out on my porch having to watch you guys because I have got to borrow a person's Wi-Fi. I had to invest in a tablet because my phone is not compatible. How much longer are we going to have to do this? It's cold out here. I can see you grinning.
We're just
But
taking.
you guys are not going to pass your 25% capacity with me attending the meeting.
Mary, the girls have actually been vaccinated. They have to do 2 rounds of their vaccination, and then we'll be able to open up City Hall. But again, it's the governor's mandate.
I want to know the meeting, and I want my mayor to tell me when he's going to open the meetings.
I think that Mary ought to, as a reporter, ought to be considered not public. She ought to be considered an official, and that she should be able to attend this meeting. Is there any legal thing on that? As long as we...
I mean, I think we just have to be careful.
And I've already had COVID.
I understand, but the problem is, the concern is if we start giving one person permission and then more and more people want to come, not that we ever have huge meetings, and I understand that.
No, you're not going to pass your 24%.
But I don't think there's any problems. If it starts to become a problem, we can readdress the issue. But if you say we give Mary, I guess, media credentials, I guess, is what we can say. And then
A press pass.
yeah, there you go. I think that'll be okay.
Well, I would appreciate it because, I
don't
had
know
to
it.
sit out here freezing for the planning meeting last night, and it's even colder tonight. And like I said, my phone's not compatible, so I'm SOL unless I do it this way.
Well, Mary, we'll
So
see.
thank you, Tommy.
We'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you and bless you guys.
All right, thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, if we have no other public comment, I adjourn this meeting.
Favorite noise on a Thursday night?
Thanks, guys. We'll see everybody later.
We won't see you then, right?
No, not me.